everyone, it's me again. If you don't know me, my name is Erin. I have two children, one with ADHD and bipolar disorder, and the other one is on the spectrum. As promised, I am back today to discuss sensory problems and how to alleviate them. I mean, you can't really cure them, but you can alleviate. People don't realize that sometimes when your kid is having behavioral problems or your kid is like destroying stuff, that they don't realize that this may actually be caused by a sensory issue. Now, I'm not like an expert or anything like that, but sometimes it is that, sometimes it isn't. So I'm not going to say it's always that, but it's something to look into if you have problems like with your child going to the bathroom and they're like squirting out the toothpaste everywhere, they're constantly like playing in water, or playing with shaving cream, like the shampoo keeps disappearing, like stuff like that are definitely signs that your child may be trying to meet some sensory needs. As well as the behavioral aspect of it. Like sometimes kids start acting up because they're on sensory overload. And so there's different ways that you can work with these situations. And I'm gonna discuss some of those today, at least some of those that I have personally used with my kids, because both my kids have sensory issues. So the first one that I love is water beads. Water beads. So I got these on Amazon, and there's like, I don't know, this bottle makes like, you could fill your bathtub like 3 times. I know it's like a tiny little thing, but like it makes a lot. Okay. And all I did was, you get these water beads, you put them into some type of a bin. So I have like a little clear, plastic bin that I put them in that has a lid, preferably. And then you just put water in them. And then like after, 24 hours, you have like beads to play with, and they're water beads, they're non-toxic. And it's just a fun thing to do. And it just somehow is meeting kids' sensory needs. So they could just stick their hands in there, swish them around, play with them. I went down to the Dollar Tree and I ended up getting like measuring cups and measuring spoons and like whisks and stuff like that you could just throw in there. And it's really inexpensive to do this activity. And I did this with my younger son, and he played in this for hours. Like, he really loved it. It met a lot of sensory needs. And he was able to actually sit down, which is crazy because he's never stops moving. Okay. But he sat down and he played with this stuff for hours. So if you're looking for like something, even as a parent with maybe not special needs, for your kids to do that's going to distract them for hours and they're really going to enjoy, I definitely recommend this. This meets the needs of kids with sensory issues, as well as just, it's a fun activity to do for any child, and it's non-toxic and it's inexpensive. The next thing that you could also do is I'm bringing it out already. Kinetic Sand. Kinetic Sand. Kinetic Sand is great. I got this whole huge bag of Kinetic Sand for $5 on sale at Walmart. And then I got this blow up thing. It's just a little, this blow up thing. I got it, I think on Amazon for like $7. And it's just another way to meet their sensory needs, and they're gonna sit there and they're gonna be entertained and they're gonna be playing, but it's also gonna meet their sensory needs to like touch things and everything like that. So and then I went to the store, I can't remember where I got these, but you can get little dump trucks and stuff to go in there. And then this like little blow up thing kind of contains the sand. When my younger son was a little bit more messy, I would just put him outside on the outside table with this. And so it didn't really matter if there was a mess. Same thing with water beads, like just set them up on a table outside if you're concerned that they're gonna get the water beads everywhere. Like the water beads, like they squish and they're gonna, shrivel up eventually. So it's not even that big of a deal. So yeah, those are 2 things. Okay. The next thing I want to go over is, so this is another sensory need, and I know how common it is, but my older son used to have like a really bad oral fixation, okay? Like everything went in his mouth, okay? Like, you know, when you get to a certain age, like when they're past the toddler age, you don't expect them to be still chewing on stuff, putting Legos in their mouth, putting other things. It's also like a safety issue as well. And so he really had this problem. Like he put everything in his mouth all the time. And then when he was, I think in like 5th grade, maybe it was 4th grade, he had a problem where he would just like eat his shirt, okay? Like, and he'd come home and his shirt would be all drooping and be all wet. And I'm like, what is going on? So I did my research and I looked it up, and this was something that people were recommending. So what this is this is like a sensory chew. And it's on a necklace like this, so they can wear it around their neck. And it's got like the safety thing, so it can't get caught on something, like it'll just pop off if it gets caught, so it's safe. This is, you know, a safe product as well. It's made for children to chew on. It's actually made for these kids. So you can actually buy packs of these on Amazon. They have bracelets and they have different stuff as well. But this is something that I used for him, and he wore this every day, and he would chew on this instead of chewing on his clothes. And it actually, he no longer has that weird sensory issue anymore. But this literally, he stopped ruining his shirts. He stopped putting toys in his mouth because he was doing this instead. So I definitely recommend this for if you have any children that have like a oral fixation, because it's actually a sensory need. Like they have a need. There's adults with this too, like adults that do this too. So, you know, the adults that like to suck on pacifiers and chew gum all the time and stuff like that. It's actually an oral fixation. And it's actually more common than you think, but people don't necessarily like recognize that that's actually a sensory need. So this is, I definitely recommend this. It did work for my older son, and he no longer has the oral fixation issues. I've also seen reviews about people like with kids who chew their fingers and stuff like that, that they've used this as well, and they've been successful using this. And again, it comes, you can get one like this, like they have different versions. So with distance learning, like my younger son has been having some trouble because he's on the spectrum. He doesn't like to sit down. I don't know if any of your kids is like this, but like my kid literally bounces off of everything in my flippin' house. Okay, so I looked into like, what can I do? Obviously he needs a sensory need met. Like he's bouncing off the walls, like he needs to move, woo, 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 you know, whatever. So this is like what I actually got, and this is great. I got this on Amazon, and it comes with a bunch of stuff, and it was not that expensive. I think it was like 20 bucks, but it's called the the Fidget Toy set. Okay, and this thing comes with like a bunch of different stuff. And I let my teachers know that this was something that I was getting him to help him focus, because a lot of kids with autism, like they're listening to you, but they're not gonna look at you. Like if they, because my son's lower on the spectrum, he can still like make eye contact, but typically he's like doing other things, and he's actually listening, but it looks like they're not paying attention. And so it actually helps them to have something like in their hands to deal with, to kind of help them with this whole bouncing around and sitting still situation, because that's very hard for them. So like this comes with like a stress ball. I know this one's pretty basic, but there's a stress ball. They have these things, they're called monkey noodles. And they're just little rubber noodles, and you go, ooh, it's just like a bunch of fidgety stuff, you know? I actually fidget with this. It's like, actually, I don't know what's so satisfying about like stretching this little stretchy noodle, but it's great. There's this thing, I don't know what this is called, but you can like bend it, make shapes with it. My son really likes that, and the monkey noodles. I love these balls, and I'm an adult. Okay, that sounded really bad, but they go like this, like you just squeeze them and you're like, it's so satisfying. It really is. But like, it's stuff like this I use that's actually helping my kids to focus. There's little balls with, these are actually, you see these a lot, but these are actually sensory balls. Like the little prickles on them help meet sensory needs. So your child can just play with that. There's these, I don't know what they are. They just kind of have a ball in them and you can go back and forth, and it's in like this mesh texture thing, again, meaning sensory needs. I'm looking for the little pea because I like the little pea. There's this little pea that just, it's a little pot of peas, you guys, and you just go, woo, woo, woo. I know, I'm such a child. I thoroughly enjoy some of these things, and they're for my son. But here's a Rubik's Cube in here, you know, for them to turn stuff. So this was a really awesome set. It actually did help a lot with my son focusing and not bouncing around as much. I did notice that he was still having some issues, and this is a really strange one that worked for me, but maybe it'll work for you too. I was at Home Goods, and they had these little seat chair things, and it's super soft. Ooh. It was really inexpensive. I think they were like $16.99. And I actually got them for the kids for when, you know, they're sitting by watching TV. But I was sitting there, I was like, I wonder if I bring in this really nice, soft little pillow chair thing and put it on the bed if it will help with the situation. And it actually did. It like really helped. Like since I put this on my bed behind him, because he does his school on my bed, and since I put this behind him, like he sits back on it and he's just like, and he looks more focused like than he has before. So this is something that worked for me that I don't know, I just thought of one day, and I'm not sure why it works, but it actually really works. I don't know if it's soft, it's comfortable, like whatever else. So now that we've discussed ways to meet, some ways to meet sensory needs when your kids are having sensory needs, these things will really help you too, because I understand as a parent that your kids can be driving you crazy. So this is something great for all parents, because doing this stuff, because as humans, we need to meet these sensory needs. And when you're meeting like these sensory needs, like kids get very distracted, they get very into what they're doing, and you might just get some quiet time, which as a parent is like a miracle. So this is definitely something that I would recommend to anyone with kids, especially those with sensory needs. So the next topic I'm going to talk about is sensory overload. So this is really a thing, and I notice this like every year, especially around Christmas. Like any child can get sensory overload. Like you ever notice when you go to a theme park and you're like, I spent all this money and we're having a great time, and my kid is acting like a jerk, okay? That's actually most likely sensory overload. Like there's so much going on, and they're just small people, and they're just taking in all this stuff going on, and it creates a sensory overload sometimes. So some kids, like when they get on sensory overload, like they start like acting out, okay? Like they'll start destroying stuff. They're just like being rude, whatever else. This is what you need to do for kids who get sensory overload, okay? And this is a great thing for parents who don't even have special needs children, okay? In like the classrooms, like special education classrooms, they typically have a quiet area. Okay, so the quiet area like is usually a blocked off area where you can't see the child. Okay, I know that sounds like terrifying. You can't see the child, but it's a safe area, okay? Like, I know I've recommended to some people, like, they have a lot of these, like, really inexpensive, like, little pop-up tents, like, for your kids' rooms that you could use. And what you would do is you would put, like, a beanbag chair in there, or you're gonna fill it with pillows or soft blankets. And this is a quiet area, okay? Toys aren't supposed to be in there. There's supposed to be nothing like that. This is like a area where the child can like come down and desensitize. It's just a calming area. A lot of people, like in my kids' room, I actually have Echo Dots to play music. You could play music, but you need that safe environment for your child when they're having a tantrum or they're on sensory overload to calm down. And so this is a really great way to do that. And so like it, you know, in the past, like I didn't have these areas. So like I would recommend to you, if you don't have these areas, like make your child's bed like a safe place. And when they're having issues, like have them go on their bed, and who cares if they destroy the whole bed, okay? Who cares if they pull the sheets off, they throw the pillows, like as long as they're not breaking anything, they'll get like their little issues out. And then I guarantee you in like 10 to 20 minutes, either your child is going to has like expelled so much energy that you're going to go in and they're going to be passed out asleep, or they're going to come out with a completely different attitude. So this is something that any parent can use. Like if you have a child who throws tantrums, anything like that. A quiet place is a great place for any child, but this definitely helps people when their kids are having behavioral problems because they're overly sensitized, basically. But yeah, all right. Well, if you have any questions about sensory issues, let me know, or if you want any recommendations. But again, like there's really inexpensive, easy ways to meet these sensory needs for your children that, you know, anybody can do. And this is something that any parent can do with their kids, because this is basic stuff. Like if I used to be an assistant teacher, so this is basic stuff that we use a lot when children are young. Like sensory, like that's a big thing. Like if you see in your toddler's classroom or whatever that they're just playing with shaving cream, that's a sensory thing. These water beads are like a huge thing at you know, the toddler infant stage. Maybe not as much infant because they might eat them, but they're non-toxic. So but I see them use that a lot in preschools with the younger kids, because sensory is very important when your child is young. And so that's why they do a lot of sensory activities when your child is an infant through the toddler phases. And so these are actually safe alternatives to your child destroying the house. Trust me, I've totally had this stuff happen. So I feel for you if you have your child, like just every time you turn around something is happening. Like I know I went to the bathroom one time and there was like, my husband's deodorant was gone. Like he went to put on deodorant and it was like, it was gone. Like because my son would go in the bathroom and he'd like go to shave, shaving cream's gone, like everything is just gone. And we were like, what do we do? These are things that you can do to help meet those needs. Obviously discuss with your child that it's not okay to destroy things in the house, but it's kind of like their little cry out for help that they need a little bit extra sensory stuff. So I hope this helps somebody today with their child. And again, everybody have a great day and stay safe.